And now to a brewing controversy on the political front. The Presidential Campaign Council of the All Progressives Congress is demanding the arrest, interrogation and possible prosecution of the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar. It is alleging that Atiku colluded with former President Olusegun Obasanjo to corruptly enrich themselves via a special purpose vehicle company allegedly set up by their surrogates. The APC Presidential Campaign Council claims that a whistleblower, Michael Achumugu, has provided iron-cast evidence of letters of appointments, emails, documents, audio clips, sworn affidavits, and direct oral evidence. The spokesperson of the Campaign Council, Festus Keyamo, the Director of Media and Publicity, Bayo Ononuga, the Director of New Media, Femi Fani-Kayode, and the Director of Strategic Communications, Dele Alake, addressed the media.
It's the Atiku gate that has dropped in the last fortnight and has been running. Somebody somewhere, just like all of you, we all woke up and started seeing the confessions, visual, literary, and all audio. Every channel of communication has been employed by this whistleblower. And weighty allegations have been made.
Atiku Abubakar, who happens to be the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, during his tenure as Vice President of Nigeria between 1999 and 2007, colluded with his then boss, President Olusegun Obasanjo, to fleece the country and steal public funds using what he termed the Special Purpose Vehicle, SPVs. Those SPVs were companies Atiku admittedly registered upon assumption of office as Vice President with the approval of President Olusegun Obasanjo using trusted allies. Let us play to you the voice recording of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar.
Give me 3 people you trust. Yes, sir. And I will prepare 3 companies.
From that audio tape alone, it is clear that Atiku Abubakar is a criminal. A criminal that should not only be arrested, he should also be jailed.
Well, the People's Democratic Party has hit back at the All Progressives Congress, also calling for the arrest of its presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu. The PDP dismisses as irresponsible what it says is the attempt by the All Progressives Congress and its presidential candidate Tinubu to divert public attention from the issues affecting Nigerians using simulated allegations. It also says it is ironic that Tinubu, who is beleaguered by unaccountable cases of fraudulent activities, including perjury, forgery, treasury looting, corruption, and narcotic-related conviction, can attempt to impugn on the unimpeccable integrity of the PDP presidential candidate. It adds that it is on record that the APC presidential candidate forfeited $460,000 in the United States, which was confirmed and found to be proceeds of trafficking in narcotics, an international crime for which Nigeria, being a signatory to International Convention on Trafficking in Narcotics, is obliged to enforce. While the Atiku Ukowa Presidential Campaign Organization also describes the formation of a uniform squad by the APC, codenamed Jagaban Army, as a treasonable act and calls for the arrest and questioning of Bola Tinubu.
All right, in a few moments we'll be talking with a member of the People's Democratic Party to react to this, allegations and as this develops. But for now, let's hear from a legal perspective on this. Let's bring in Arise analyst Frank Tietie. Frank, good to see you.
Thank you.
Many thanks for joining us on Newsnight. I wonder what you make of these allegations. The PDP says, look, it's a mere distraction and it's a case of kettle calling pot black. How justiciable really is this? Is the APC an interloper in this situation or what?
Maybe so, but if you, it is an era of politics and mudslinging is allowed and trying to take advantage of any bad report concerning the opponents is actually exploited by any political party, especially when the rivals are very close. But I think before we really go on, so that it doesn't look as if it's much ado about nothing, if there is anybody who should have a lot of serious pieces of evidence against Atiku Abubakar, it would have been the person of Olusegun Obasanjo, who actually fought him between 2006 and 2007 in a vindictive manner when Obasanjo, perceived that Atiku Abubakar was instrumental to the failure of his third-term bid. So all of those accusations, using the EFCC to hound Atiku Abubakar as a sitting vice president at that time, accusing him of using PTDF funds as slush funds for corruption and funding his business activities, which included a number of companies. But Atiku Abubakar was quite smart, very smart. He had very brilliant lawyers at that time. He went to court, up to the Supreme Court, and got declarations of the court saying that he was not found guilty or culpable in any way. And then to the extent that Obasanjo used the EFCC infamously previously to vilify Atiku, but he didn't. The EFCC didn't succeed. Obasanjo also used INEC at that time to do everything possible to disqualify Atiku Abubakar from contesting the 2007 election. All that failed. Atiku Abubakar got Supreme Court pronouncements, exculpating him, saying that he didn't have any case to answer. And all of these things, to a large extent, we haven't seen much of the allegations against Atiku. But if there is anything from the news report and from what the APC campaign council is calling for, it's premature to be calling for the arrest of Atiku Abubakar.
Well, let me just help you. What the APC is claiming: of offences of money laundering, number 1, breach of Code of Conduct Act, C, conspiracy, and criminal breach of trust and misappropriation.
These are mere allegations, absolutely mere allegations. And in our country, our jurisprudence here is that there is presumption of innocence. Park all of the allegations against one man, we run and yes, and he's innocent.
In this particular instance, and a supposed aide of the former vice president, there's a recording, and the APC also played that at that press briefing today, setting up special purpose vehicles to fleece the government is the allegation. How weighty is that, given that at that time he was the vice president of the country? We did see a former governor who was mentioned in that recording also go to jail, although now has been pardoned by President Muhammadu Buhari.
Going to jail here. These are just allegations, and this is all dramatic. You find a somewhat disgruntled element of who said to have privileged connections with the former vice president, now a presidential candidate, now giving revelations. Anybody can come out and formulate such things. What any reasonable person who is interested in the truth should be calling for is investigation. What the ICPC...
Isn't that what the APC is saying?
No, I think to the extent of what we've seen is that the tone is that, oh, he's already guilty, vilify him, take him to the guillotine, slay him. I mean, just, all of that, skin him alive. That's not true. That's too much political, rhetoric, and it won't take anybody anywhere. It won't help us. It may have some political value in terms of campaign value, but you see, we need to see through that and know that they are just mere allegations. What's important if we are sincere is for an officer of government, one man, only one man should be in the center of this whole thing, and it's the person of the Attorney General, courtesy of his responsibility under Section 150 of the Constitution. He is the chief law officer of the Federation. He should be, and he has immense powers under Section 174 of the Constitution to be able to initiate also any kind of criminal proceedings against anybody whatsoever concerning any law that has been made by the National Assembly, whether it's the EFCC Act or the ICPC Act or the Money Laundering Act. The man has not done anything because he's seen through it that these things are just more like smoke screen until he initiates investigation first, and if there should be an investigation, the first person to be investigated is the so-called whistleblower. Sometimes when you get privileged information, how do you use them? And you come and verify, come and show that they're true. He should be invited first before you making such wild allegations against the presidential candidate. It's not good for our polity.
Special purpose vehicle under any circumstance. Is it a crime or is it something that is allowable? Is it...
Of course, it's legal, allowable, for example, and it's something that is created, for specific purposes in terms of used mainly by corporate lawyers. Now, if, for example, already corporate persons want to incorporate another corporate personality, and to avoid a situation of conflicts of interest or, for pure, simple accounting purposes. And then sometimes they are merely set up for a singular purpose, and after that purpose is achieved, they are actually wound up. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with the use of special purpose vehicles. In fact, they are becoming norm in the United States and becoming more popular in our climb here.
The PDP also raises another issue, saying that the Jagaban army, the so-called Jagaban army that was put in place over the weekend, is a treasonable act.
Well,
what do you make of that?
You see,
about 200,000 strong young men and women.
We run a system, sadly, a law enforcement system, which which is to a large extent, I would say, will laid back. They sit back and wait for petitions to be written, to asking law enforcement agencies like the EFCC, ICPC, the police, the DSS to now investigate. Ordinarily, you don't need to activate them. They are the ones who are watchers of the law, keeping to see that these laws, the standards of these laws are enforced. And whenever there is any breach, they are the ones who should activate investigation and ultimate prosecution. But if that doesn't happen, we dwell in the realm of allegations and mere conjectures. So until there is substance, and then these officers of government are, are imbued with sufficient discretion to determine what is right, what is wrong, and how to actually activate and apply the instrument of state against anybody. Until that happens, these are just mere vituperations of frustrated persons in the political scheme who are now fishing for in the political waters for any kind of mud to stain their political opponents. Right. That shouldn't be. We should have our political campaigns exalted to the level of issues. We're not seeing that issues now to call for Atiku Abubakar to resign. For what? When you're just making allegations, call that for those allegations to be investigated. Call for that personality who's making those wild allegations to be investigated. Come and substantiate all of these things you say rather than going to the social media. If he had anything of substance, shouldn't he have approached the EFCC? Unfortunately, there are Supreme Court cases that Atiku Abubakar had got that are protecting him from possibly protecting him from all of these allegations. They should go to court. Unfortunately, too, you just can't disqualify him at this stage. Well, you need to be able to ground substantial facts contrary to the provisions of Section 137 to disqualify a candidate. Even INEC doesn't have that power. You need to go through the courts, and it's not going to be very easy.
Frank Tietie, you make the point of former President Goodluck Jonathan, who says politicians should stay away from smear campaigns and talk about the real issues. Thank you so much for your submission. We do appreciate it. Thank you.